Welcome into another edition of The Session with Londa and David. My name is David Austin.
I'm Londa Sherwood Austin. Welcome back.
You look spectacular today. You're wearing a Journey Don't Stop Believin' concert t-shirt
band
with
shirt.
Earrings that match beautifully.
Well, thank you.
It's Band Shirt Wednesday at the Austin House.
I guess so.
And I'm repping the band Sherwood Austin Mortgage.
Yes.
The band is back together and they're playing their greatest hits at Sherwood Austin Mortgage, helping people find all the right loans to get in all the right places for over 20 years in Tri-Cities, Washington, and beyond.
Ooh.
There you go. That's my little ad. I made that up. I don't know.
That was really good.
I don't know if it's compliant. Sherwood Austin Mortgage is an affiliate of Expert Home Lending. There you go. That's it. I don't know any.
I don't know either.
Any MLS numbers? I don't have any of that.
I don't think anyone listening to this is monitoring that, but maybe they are. I don't know.
We're not going to use any trigger words like low rates because that's not a thing we offer. We offer really comprehensive mortgage services. That's what we offer at Sherwood Austin Mortgage. Mm-hmm. How are you?
Well, that's a complex question for me.
Okay, tell me more.
Really?
Why not? This is us having coffee in the morning.
Oh shit! I don't know.
You want me to put some whiskey in this coffee?
You know, no, that won't help. I'm okay. Okay. You know.
Okay.
What am I? The hormonal ups and downs of being a 55-year-old woman is really interesting.
Okay.
And I use hormone replacement therapy. Hormone therapy, I think is what we call it now. But there's so much changing in that area of medicine right now that it's kind of a little bit hard to keep up. But a couple of times in the past, I use an estrogen patch, and I take progesterone and a pill and testosterone cream for anybody who cares. And you should care, because if you are a woman, know a woman, love a woman, you should care.
Okay.
Because every woman goes through menopause, period. Every woman. Not every woman will have a child,
right,
but every woman goes through menopause. And the average age of menopause in America is 51.
Okay.
I'm 55. Mine was surgery induced because I had a hysterectomy due to cervical cancer. But I was right in that wheelhouse anyway, and we were getting real close anyway. So I was right on time.
And you've been doing hormone replacement for a long time, preceding.
Yeah. Through most of my I would say probably through all of my perimenopause, off and on. Okay. So not always consistently, but as the research has increased in the last 5 years, I will probably be on hormone therapy until I die, just because the long-term benefits of for your brain, heart, and bone health far outweigh anything. And so we know all that now. Here, what I'm getting at is I think maybe twice ever I've had a patch that I think was a dud.
Okay.
And I just put this together this morning. So I've been very open with our listeners about my, I guess you'd call it my mental health, right? So I have a diagnosed panic disorder from ages ago. So I deal with anxiety. And then, they called it panic disorder when I got diagnosed. So that'll tell you how long ago that was.
Was that near the time of your conviction? It's just a joke.
Oh, like prison conviction? No.
I'll tell you why I made that joke in a little bit.
Okay. But I have depressive episodes.
Okay.
Now and again. None of that is treated with prescription medication. Just that I haven't had good success with that, and so I find other ways to. I go to the gym. I work out, and the hormone therapy really, really helps. So if you know a woman, love a woman, are a woman, and you're feeling listless in life, I would definitely encourage you to find a reputable physician that you could talk with about your hormones. And if they tell you, oh, you're fine, and you're over 40, find somebody else. And so if they say, oh, your numbers look good, so we're not going to do anything, find somebody else. Because if they're not listening to how you feel, that's a big part of dialing in your hormone therapy.
Sure.
But I think that I've had this very long depressive episode that it's been about a week and a half, which is unusually long for me. Usually it's a few days, and then I'm a little blue for a couple days. I might spend an afternoon in bed. I'm really contemplating life. I'm really, I get really inward. And usually, I come out of it. This one is a little bit longer. And I think I realized this morning, I think my last 2 patches were duds. And
estrogen patches.
Yeah. How could 2 in a row be duds? Because right now I'm using a dosage where I cut the patch in half.
Oh, so it was one patch that was
so
no
it was one
good.
patch that I think was a dud. And
gotcha.
The reason that I think that is I put a new patch on this morning.
And feel all better.
I don't feel all better, but I have a whole new lease on life.
Okay.
So that is interesting to me, and this may not be the platform to discuss this, and I apologize if you have already tuned out. But that's interesting to me that it can have that much effect. And I mean, when I say a depressive episode, I was like a little blue, and then I went from a little blue to yesterday I had a major crash out. I wanted the ground to open up and just swallow me up so that I could just be done with this life. And that's a major crash out.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good at all.
No, but on the airplane on the way home, because we just went to Louisiana, which I think you're going to get into in a minute,
right.
Why we went and what we did while we were there. You don't want to miss this, so stick around through all this menopause talk because it's going to get good. But this is good, but it's going to get more entertaining is what I'm saying. Anyway, on the plane yesterday, I watched this really interesting documentary called The Weight of Gold.
Okay.
And it's about the mental health of Olympic athletes.
Interesting.
And I watched it, and it was helpful to watch world-class medal-winning athletes, narrated by Michael Phelps.
Okay.
Talk about post-Olympics, I was so depressed, I was thinking about suicide. And I just think I felt not so alone.
Sure.
When I have those, I have really, not nice thoughts about myself,
And I don't like that.
Yeah. And you have a unique window into that because I got to be honest, I've never ever, please don't ever use this against me, please. But I've never shared with anybody the things that I share with you of like what I'm saying to myself in my head. So welcome to the nightmare. I apologize for that. But also, so I'm feeling a lot better today. But there's a lot of outside factors that can affect it. But I do think that there was maybe an issue with a
biochemical problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also I got new bras, so that could be it too. And if you're a female listening to this, you know what I'm talking about. I'm on top of the world now.
Literally on top of the world.
Yeah.
Perched.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, so that was the very long answer to how are you today? I think I took 8 minutes of our show.
You certainly did, yes.
But I will say I don't apologize for talking about menopause because, as I said, if you are a woman, you know a woman, or you love a woman, you need to educate yourself and educate her.
Or at least be willing to listen and care.
Yeah.
I'm not really educating myself, but I care.
But I'm educating you.
That's exactly right. I listen
whether
and I
you
care.
Want
I'm
to
not
be
doing
or not.
I'm not doing online research like you are, but you're doing enough for all of us. So
I really am, because what the hell is this? That's my question. So, yeah. I've considered having, another podcast in addition to this one that is focused just on that.
That'd be great for you and a lady to do together.
I think there may be space for that.
I'm all for it. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea.
Because I swear, every time I see somebody, I run into people or strangers or whatever, and somehow the conversation always turns toward it.
Well, it's interesting, and the reason the conversation turns toward it is because you are very interested in that subject. So you kind of... there are things you say that trigger that conversation.
I guess.
Especially when you're talking to other middle-aged ladies.
Yeah, other women, period. Yeah. Real estate and menopause.
That's right. And here's the good news. Real estate is a largely female-dominated industry, one of like three that are largely female-dominated, the other nursing, the other education. Those are three of the major industries that are female-dominated.
And it's because real estate takes a lot of nurturing.
Right. That's exactly right. And if you're not interested in that, you should do something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And I'm kind of an interesting kind of person because I've got a lot of nurture in me, but I'm also very... type A, let's do this. But I'm also, hey, I want to entertain you. There's a whole lot of stuff going on with me that makes me a good teammate to you.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree.
Yeah.
And thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate that. So here's why I brought up Londa's conviction. Because
I don't have a conviction.
We went to the, we went to the Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola Prison Rodeo, and it's the oldest continuously running prison rodeo in America.
I have a tiny, tiny little misdemeanor from years and years ago. Anyway, move on. Who among us doesn't?
Anyway, so that's what we did, and it's because our daughter Caitlin reached out and said, hey, Dad, would you like to go to the Angola Prison Rodeo this year? And I said, would you? And she said, yes, I really would. And I said, yeah, I think I'd do that. I'd totally do that with you. She said, great, because I've already bought 4 tickets. So we're doing it.
Yes.
So we ended up flying down to Louisiana and going to the Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola, which is an 18,000-acre prison farm. There's nothing else like it in America, by the way.
Yeah.
Fully self-sustaining.
Actually, really interesting. Look it up.
Absolutely, really, really interesting. Here's why it's interesting to me, though. One of my minors in college at the University of Southwestern Louisiana, now University of Louisiana at Lafayette, was criminal justice. So I got to go to Angola and talk to lifers like Wilbert Redu, who was called the most reformed prisoner in America by Dan Rather, and got to meet these people. And so I feel connected to that prison because of my graduate level work in that field in Louisiana.
Right.
When I became a reporter, I actually won some awards because of reporting on the Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola, including one piece that I did with Warden Burl Cain, where I got him to talk about sometimes prisoners need a little tune-up.
That's his quote. Yeah.
That's right.
You're not saying that.
Sometimes they need to learn who's who and what's what after a direct question about putting your hands on inmates. And I wanted an investigative reporting award for that piece. So I feel very connected to that prison, which is why it was so fun to go back as a spectator, not a media personality, and just go to the prison rodeo and arts and crafts show.
Yeah, so let's kind of describe the event. I do encourage you to look it up, Google it, Chat GPT it, and there are some documentaries that you can watch about it. It's fascinating.
Right.
But ultimately, it's a couple of days where the inmates get to, at various levels, be out with the public, selling the wares that they create, their art.
And they've been doing that the entire time of the rodeo, but the arts and crafts part of the rodeo has grown dramatically since COVID.
Right.
Before, they were just some guys selling some stuff at the rodeo.
Right.
Now
it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. It's blocks and blocks and blocks of furniture and artwork and belts and paintings.
Yeah.
And
leatherwork, jewelry, artwork of all kinds,
metalwork,
woodwork,
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Like legit table and chair sets.
Yeah.
Solid wood.
Big pieces of furniture. People came with trailers to take stuff home.
Yeah. And so if I had known kind of more about it, I might have pre-planned some stuff.
Well,
but I didn't know. And some of these people, we talked to one guy who's a master. He's been named a master
chainmail artist.
Yes. And one of the patterns that he did in this bracelet, he invented the pattern.
Right.
And got to name it or whatever. Now other people do this pattern. Like it was really incredible. And I just kept thinking, like I cried so many times that day.
Yeah.
Because I just kept thinking, like, twice a year they get to do this. And there's a lot of rules in place for them. They have to have an exemplary behavior record to be able to participate. And there's all kinds of things,
Anytime somebody says to me, the Angola Prison Rodeo is exploitative, let me tell you this. You cannot participate in the rodeo unless you've been in prison with a clean prison record, 0 disciplinary actions for, get this, 10 years.
Yeah.
You have to have a clean record in prison for 10 years to be eligible to be a part of the rodeo.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
So the artistry varied from, people you could tell, are pretty new at their craft to like this guy who's a master at his craft.
Right.
And everything in between. And it was just, frankly, inspiring.
Yeah.
Because there was one older gentleman selling these books that he wrote. He called them booklets,
right?
That he wrote, and they were all kinds of different stories, mostly geared toward children. One of them was designed to be a coloring book, and it just got me. It just got me because they're all handwritten. They're all handwritten stories and hand drawn illustrations and very rudimentary. And I was just like, so eager to read the stories and to, I bought a few of his booklets and, to get, I don't know. A lot of what I saw was, wow, if they're doing this, what's keeping me from doing something?
That's interesting. I didn't see any parallels to my life there, only because a lot of the people we talked to were murderers.
Well, but we didn't know that at the time. I'm just going through it. I think we had very different experiences. I was going through it just honestly really excited to give these people a day where they're just humans in this world.
Yes. And that's good. That's a really good thing.
And I didn't want to know what they did. I didn't want to know because I didn't want to have that clouded by anything.
I gotcha.
At all. And so I chatted with them and I asked them about their craft and how long they'd been doing it and, what inspired them and where do you get your materials?
Sure.
And all this kind of thing. And I just thought, I wonder if this kind of keeps them hanging on.
Well, it does. And there have been several documentaries over the last 40 years that I'm aware of. And probably the most notable one was called The Farm, and it was about the Angola prison system. And it was co-directed by Wilbert Redu, the inmate that I met, 30 years ago, who Dan Rather called the most reformed prisoner in America. He started the Angolite magazine, which you subscribed to while we were there. The thing that I've learned from these people, and his story is fascinating, because in the 50s, he robbed a bank in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and killed a teller who he kidnapped during the robbery.
Oof.
That's bad news bears, right? In the 70s, when the Supreme Court ruled that state-sponsored executions were both arbitrary and capricious, they gave everybody who was sentenced to death in America a life sentence, which is why Charles Manson was in there for life, not put down by the state of California, which is why Wilbert Redo went on to started as a 15-year-old boy who robbed a bank and killed a white bank teller in the 50s to someone who could read, he trained himself to read while on death row, by the way. Then he got degrees, and then he became a reporter and was a stringer for CBS from behind the fence at Angola. I mean, very interesting stories. The reason I am talking about this is because when I was a reporter and news anchor in Louisiana during my 15 years of doing that, I really got to know the players there at that prison.
Sure.
Both the inmates and the administration. And I know when Warden Burl Cain was the warden, his big thing was teaching people to become rehabilitated, even if they were never going to get out of prison. And that's a hard sell. If you know you're going to live in a box for the rest of your life, how do you feel inspired? Well, every now and then you need a tune-up. You need to learn who's who and what's what.
Well,
but if you work for rights like Ashanti Witherspoon's another inmate that I met when I was there years and years and years ago. Now he's a free man. And what he did was he got so involved in community outreach, he got to leave the prison and go give classes at universities.
And I was going to say, it's incredible how much opportunity they have if they behave, right? If they follow the rules, there were all kinds of different things. They do like a father-daughter dance.
Right.
They do, there were lots of prison ministries of different kinds. There's a band that we listened to that, let me tell you, could play.
Yes.
That guy, the guy that played the guitar, he had to have been a professional musician in the past. I don't, maybe not. Maybe he just learned this I don't know, but it was so good. And I thought, I bet they perform at some stuff sometimes.
Sure.
And there were a lot. So some of them were working, for like a portion of the proceeds would go to this thing or that thing in the prison system, different organizations. So it was just incredible. The whole thing.
It was very interesting, and I think it's very encouraging going back there and seeing the results of what was happening when I was there as part of the media, to see positive change. Now, it's a heightened situation. You're not in the prison like a day-to-day person in the prison.
Right.
And you're seeing the best of the inmates, right? So it is a little whitewashed, I would say, and I don't mean that skin tone. I just mean cleaner looking than it probably normally is, right?
Yeah.
But it's good to see good stories coming out of that place, which for years was classified as the deadliest prison in America, which for years was thought of as an actual continuation of slavery in Louisiana. It opened right after the plantations closed when Louisiana became a free state. It opened on the site of 5 plantations.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a clear comparison to be made there, but it's good to see that people that we talk to, black inmates, white inmates, had something to look forward to and were making good choices as a result. So I felt very good about that.
So they grow their own food.
They do. They're self-sustaining, 100%.
So they grow enough produce, not only it started as just for their prison, but they now grow enough produce for 5 prisons.
That's right.
And we had, oh my gosh, we had a fried chicken plate because they have food too from different food vendors, that are inmates. And some are like an inmate and a guard working together in the,
whenever they took cash, it was an inmate and a guard.
Yeah. Well,
whenever they took credit, not your card, but just like a slip. It was just an inmate.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really cool system, actually.
Yeah. So, but the food was incredible.
Yeah. Really
incredible.
Good food.
And you said that the chicken they probably grow there on the
on
the farm.
When I went there, on my first field trip to the prison, not when I went there, but when I went on a field trip, Camp D made our bus lunch, and they made us that fried chicken. Man, it was incredible. Now, the inmate who runs that kitchen there in Camp D said, this isn't how we eat every day, but I'm glad you're here because we're eating this way today. And it was
when
great.
you did your field trip in college.
That's exactly right. That's
gotcha.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So
all I know is I got 2 pieces of fried chicken and some sides for $5, which I don't even know how they could do that.
Well, it's because they raised the chickens and they killed the chickens and they cooked the chickens.
I could have eaten 3 of those plates. It was so good.
Well, I had one and that was enough for me. Wow, it was good.
Yeah.
Super, super good.
Yeah.
And Caitlin was super excited to be a part of it. And then one of the days that we were in Louisiana, she and I went to the Mall of Louisiana to go to the aquarium that they have there. And it was very nostalgic because when we moved to Baton Rouge, when she was a baby, the Mall of Louisiana was brand new. We went to the ribbon cutting of it. The carousel in the food court's the same one that was there the day the mall opened. Yeah. So she immediately went up to the animals she used to love to ride, the tiger and the bunny.
That's
and
cute.
Immediately was into it. I felt very nostalgic. It was very sweet.
Well, and
time.
I was I like to when she's with us like for a weekend or a trip like that, I like to kind of pull away for part of the time and give you guys time by yourselves to do that because I think it's important.
Well, that was a very nice, sweet experience. And I don't know why I'm telling that part of the story, but I just thought it was a very lovely time. And then we saw one of my best friends and mentors in my sales life, Malcolm Adams, who is still the absolute best natural salesperson I've ever met. And you like him because of his raw skill, too.
Yeah.
The first thing she said when she met him was, man, I really like him. He formed me just now.
Yeah.
Which I didn't even know what that was until you told me what it was.
Well, it's a technique that people use to get to know people. Right. And in sales, you use it, for the same reason, to get to know somebody, but really to hear what you're looking for is you're looking for points of pain.
Right.
That you can relieve with your service or product, or you're looking for points of
connection,
or, like a point of like joy or happiness that you can then, pour into with your product or service. Right. So, but I've used it. I don't know. I first learned it maybe almost 20 years ago. And, I've used it it's great in any room that you're in where there are people that you don't know. So you ask people, FORM or Ford would be another version of it. It's you ask people questions about their family, their occupation, their recreation, and then their dreams.
Right.
Or you deliver your message in sales. But so it's a great way to just get to know people. And you've seen me do it a million times.
Yeah.
We have a dinner party. I'm doing it around the table.
You're the star of every dinner party because you're the only person there asking questions to each person in the room.
Well, I'm really interested in people. I'm interested in getting to know people. And I don't think I'm very interesting. And so if I can get them talking about themselves, they won't ask me about me. So a little bit of it is a little bit of a survival skill for me. For like if I'm going to, I get a little social anxiety. And so learning that skill set has really helped me be able to be more comfortable because I just ask people about themselves and people love talking about themselves. And then I don't have to talk about myself.
It's really interesting how people experience things so differently, right? When I look at you, if I didn't know you, I would think this lady's so put together. She's got to be fully dialed in. And that's in fact what I thought 15 or 16 years ago, the day I met you.
In some moments, I feel that way too.
Yeah. But to know the way your brain works and to know your self-talk, and it's a really different thing. So I guess the reason I'm saying that is because I don't think anyone should ever assume they know what's going on inside of someone's head.
I think you're right.
Because there's no way they possibly could, which goes back to my problem with the word empathy versus sympathy, right? I cannot pretend to be inside of your brain space because I can't conceive of how you're thinking.
Sure, but...
And presuming that you think just like me is short-sighted at best.
Oh, yeah.
Short-sighted at best.
No one thinks the same way that you think or that I think. We're all individual and our brains are wired differently. And we see it through the lenses of the trauma and the joys and the experiences of our life, right? And so everybody's seeing it differently. But this is why I often say everybody's going through something.
Right.
You know? And if they're not going through it right now, something difficult. If they're not going through it right now, they're maybe just coming out of it or they're about to go into it. And so kindness is always appropriate. You know, I think just not assuming people are okay.
Right.
You know, not assuming they're not okay either. Maybe just assuming that human connection is important for every person, no matter how they look on the outside. And I think that ties our whole show together in a nice, beautiful little bow, because we started talking about how I'm doing, you know, and then we talked about these inmates at Angola. And I think that really is the message of this show. If I had to say, hey, I want you to take home with you this message, it would be that, you know, human interaction and kindness and, you know, treating people well is really important. And we all need it. You know,
yes.
We know that science tells us that we need each other.
Right.
So, and I think maybe that's why I was so emotionally overwhelmed at the prison rodeo, not so much the rodeo part, but at the craft part, you know, because I just thought these guys leave here and they get strip searched and they go back to their cell.
That's right.
And whoa.
And they may be in a cell, they may be in a dormitory, but they don't go back to a place that is really just theirs. They don't.
Yeah, I mean, I went back to an Airbnb.
Right.
You know, like, it's just interesting. And yes, I understand before you come for me, I get they did something that society agrees is wrong, and they, you know, they earned where they are, I guess is what I'm saying.
70% of the people at Angola are lifers. 70%. Yeah. So they probably killed someone or were involved in some situation where someone died, whether they pulled the trigger or not, and got life in prison.
Right. And they're still human.
Right.
And yeah, that's the whole thing. Kindness is always appropriate, and you know, we can disagree and we can have different views and we can debate and we can get, you know, upset with each other or whatever. But at the end of the day, we need each other.
I think the real currency in life and our legacy is how we made other people feel. And if you make other people feel good or nourished or positive, then you're making a positive impact in the world. That's just how I feel. Yeah. And if you're making other people feel small or slighted or less than, your legacy's not going to be great. Yeah. Maybe think about that. I don't know. Anything else you want to add? We've got 1 minute left in the program.
No, I mean, I think I said it. Yeah, I will just finish with this. I was excited to get back this morning. I woke up, went straight into the office and got back to work and getting paperwork in for deals that are closing with some buyers, talking to sellers about open houses this weekend. And so it's always nice to pull away and do something fun. It's always feels good to get back and get your traction back and get back to work too.
And that's exactly how I felt as well. Meanwhile, David Fetto was here working the back office at the mortgage company while we were gone. Now he's gone, so I'm working the back office for a couple of days. And I got news for you. Get back, David. I do not like the back office. I like the front office. I'm front facing.
Yeah. Yep.
For Londa, Joanne, Sherwood, Austin, my name is David Austin. We can't wait to come back next week and talk to you again here on The Session with Londa and David. See you next week.